Okay. All right, so here we are on the next day for the riding part. So I just tacked her up, obviously brought her in the arena. I haven't done any groundwork or anything with her today, just kind of out of her turnout pen and into the stall to get tacked up, same as yesterday on that part of it. I was riding her before with the bridle reins on the bit and the lead rope attached to the halter and the neck rope, so I kind of had three options to use. We've kind of graduated away from the lead rope being attached to the halter, and we're just working more off of the neck rope and the reins now. And it's kind of typically what I do with them, just to kind of graduate again from, into the bit, but not just go directly to the bit. So some days at this stage with her, some days I might do a little bit of groundwork, some days I don't. Kind of just depends, some of the little things that I might notice or see while I'm catching her or while I'm tacking her up, if I feel like if there's some things that we should visit. And so today I'm just going to go ahead and get on. Girl. Let's give her a moment to stand here once we get on, fidget around a little bit, just so she doesn't start to anticipate all the time that as soon as we get in the saddle that we're going to walk off or do something. Because then typically what happens is they start to put the pieces together, and the minute you go to pick your foot up, put it in the stirrup, is when they're starting to walk off. So just give her a chance to just stand here and not create something that we have to fix later. And then we just kind of walk off, check our flexion a little bit, go on the left rein, open it out to the side, really make it clear to her what it is that we're asking her. Flex to the left. Yeah. Go for a little walk. As she noticed, the camera is there, so good. Oftentimes at this back wall here, there's birds moving around, or quite a few birds in the arena, it seems. So sometimes it's a little bit of there's a little bit going on that gets their attention, but that's fine. And even as I'm just walking here, I'm just kind of checking, how she feels. If I can ask her for a little bit of a bigger walk, or the feeling really that I don't have to continually remind her to go, where I'm nagging her and pushing her and asking the walk to go more, or if I feel like she's kind of starting and stopping. So just giving her, again, trying to set the pace where we would like, kind of setting the cruise control, if you want to think of it like that, and then just letting her go on her own for a little bit. And then if she starts to do, slow down or stop or whatever, or change speed, change gait, then we can just remind her and set her up again. So we just get out of that way of constantly having to get them to go. Now, she's only at whatever 6 weeks or something, so you gotta expect that it won't be perfect. Girl. And the horses are walking around by the arena wall just outside here, so she's kind of hearing them a little bit. And just give her a chance to look and register what they're doing out there. And she keeps turning an ear back here, so she's still checking in. She's aware of things out there, but she's also aware that we are here and we're working together. So that's really about all that I ask for. I really don't mind if they're aware of things that are going on in the environment. I would rather they are aware enough to pick up on things that are going on. But at the same time, I would like for them to still be partially engaged with us. So if she spends a little too much time being distracted over there, I'll give her the opportunity to just kind of check in again. And if she spends a little too long with her ears just really focused, her head up and kind of seeing something, I just might do something to kind of change, bring her focus back this way a little bit. And it doesn't have to be much. It could be just sliding on the rein, and she does. So any little sign that she starts to acknowledge that, yes, in fact, she is still aware that we're here, and then release on that. So it doesn't have to be a big thing again. Good girl. Here I'm going to see if I can pick up a little bit on this right shoulder. Good girl. And just starting to get her a little bit more aware of working through the body, bending in the rib cage a little bit. You know, all within reason. Good girl. Good. I'm just asking for a nice forward walk here so we can check our our side to side. Can I bring her around and kind of engage the inside hind to put a bit of a bend in her? Good. And then walk out. And while I'm doing that, I'm working on, again, that connection for her of what my body does. So here, if I start to look to the left, and then I start to bend my body, and then I pick up on the rein, and then I look to the inside hind and try to engage it. And then I straighten my shoulders and ride out of that. So what we were doing on the ground before, introducing her to following our body around, is what we're now continuing on in the saddle. So here, if I start to bring myself a little bit into a right turn, I'm going to look a little bit down in the direction of her inside hind, her right hind, pick up on my right rein a little bit, ask that she comes around a little bit, see if I can engage that hind leg. That's it. And then walk out. Good girl. Yeah, and then we'll check our forward and back, bring our energy up, ask for a little trot. Again, just asking her to stay in between the reins, trying not to sit heavy on her back, just with a light seat. Let her trot a bit. If she starts to get a little too quick or a little distracted, we'll put her in that position again where she starts to slow her feet down, slow her thinking down. Good. Bring her energy down, and does she come down? So that was nice, just kind of sit, exhale, and to pull on her mouth. Yeah. So then the work that we were doing a little bit before with the neck rope on the ground. Good. Being able to stop her, back her up, and start to move the shoulders a little bit in conjunction with the rein. Good. And bring the shoulders to the left maybe. Yeah, good. And one way is a little stickier than the other. That's to be expected. Bring the energy up and forward. Good girl. Ah, good. Good. And again, trying to have the feeling that I'm not constantly kissing or nagging her to go forward, giving her the chance to kind of go on her own a little bit more. But the idea though is that she starts to understand that when we ask her into a certain pace, trot or whatever, good, is that she maintains that a little bit more regularly on her own. until we change direction or change speed. Yeah. And I'm not asking her with the reins to come round or to tuck her chin or to come, you know, on the bit or whatever. Just trying to guide her in between the reins. Try to get her a little more used to working, or start to work a little bit more through her body. And then the front part in front of the reins, in front of the saddle, will start to take care of itself. That's it. So just forward, relaxed, rhythmic. Can we turn? Can we go forward? Can we stop? And then we just kind of think on that for a bit and give her a chance to, again, she puts in a nice effort of working, she's listening, and then a bit of a reward of just kind of a break, a little bit of a rest. We can check to back up again. So if the more that she does off the neck rope, or that she has a nice understanding of the neck rope, and we can move the shoulders and we can kind of speak a little bit more direct to the shoulders and the front end from the neck rope, and she has an understanding of how to move her body, move her shoulders around. Good for you. And the more that we can allow her to do that and try to keep the neck as long as possible so she doesn't get too short or curled up. Good. If we can leave the neck alone and leave the mouth alone and not be pulling on her. Good girl. Yeah, good. Good girl. That's better, good. Again, if we can not be pulling on the mouth so much. What's out there? Yep. And there's some birds flying up in the corner. We have quite a lot of birds in the arena. So sometimes when they take off 3 or 4 at a time, it kind of catches their attention. But again, if she has the moments when something like that catches her attention, she can stop and look at it and not build from there. It's a nice thing too. She can kind of think it over a little bit. Good. And this has been hanging in here for, I think I hung it up yesterday when I rode her. We didn't really do anything with it, but just give her something to look at. And just to kind of expose her to some different things. You know, give her a chance to, she steps towards it. So I don't really want to get in the mindset of, I want to ride her through this. I would just like to give her the feeling that when she's a little curious about it and she steps towards it, that there's no input from us, right? We just sit here, we just kind of let her take her time and do her thing. And then if we give the chance to maybe open the shoulder a little bit. Yeah, good for you, good. Good. So when she gets the feeling that when she leans a little forward towards it or thinks a little forward towards it, that you know, we just go quiet and we just let her kind of sort it out. And as long as she's here and getting a feeling that she's a little bit more able to make the decision, good for you. Good. Good. So that ideally down the road, when you're in a place, a new situation, and you know, wherever that might be, on the trail or in an arena somewhere or whatever, when there's places that kind of concern her a little bit or bother her, you know, it's nice if she can kind of get the feeling of curiosity and want to investigate those things. So she goes a little bit towards them herself and starts to have the feeling that she's actually a little bit more in control of these scary things than it is that we're making her go to them. And sometimes we might have to help her a bit. You know, and that's not a problem. We can give her a bit of guidance, open the shoulders up a little bit, let her take a step forward. Good girl. And when she's standing here kind of like this, there's not a concern. She has no concern. She's not afraid of this thing. So in these situations, you can ask her to take a step forward. If she was truly afraid of it, you would approach it a little bit different. But again, I don't want to give her the feeling that I'm driving her through here. So I'll give her a bit of time, and then we'll ask again. And as soon as she starts to go forward or get curious about it, then we'll stop asking. Girl. That's it. Good for you. Good. Maybe a bit of trot again. So that goes back to just having her kind of follow our energy a little bit more, so we don't have to necessarily, you know, squeeze or kick or push. Bring the energy up a little bit. Especially in the turns, because the tendency typically is to slow down and stop. Turn again. Good girl. So she's at a little bit of a stage now too, where we've been using the bending and the softening and the lengthening through the body to bring her back in, you know, moments when she gets a little fast, if she gets a little upset. So instead of pulling back on the reins, making her feel restricted in the front and making the neck short and kind of tightening up, you know, creating more tension than what's building already, we've been using that turning, slowing, and that as the exercise to get her to come back down, to slow her feet down, to slow her thinking down, to take the tension out of her body. So now when you get to the next point where you're starting to ride her forward and ask her to bend through the turns, there's a little bit of she has to start sorting out there, and we have to help her. That is not necessarily the same exercise now as where she's bending to slow down. She's bending but continuing to go forward. So starting to introduce the idea to her that she can in fact go forward, soften through the body, bend through the rib cage, keep her feet moving, but at the same time still find that softening that we've been using that exercise for all along. So taking it kind of to the next level. We can still continue it through and ask her to come right down to, say, from a trot to a walk or to a halt or whatever. But we'd also like now to be able to explain to her that you can in fact do those things. You can soften, relax, let down, but still keep your feet moving. So it just kind of depends on where you're at, where she's at, you know, in that moment. If she was to really spook at something, then yeah, we would use it to kind of bring her back. Good girl. So we'll start to play a little bit too in the walk. Yeah, good. In the walk to help her kind of take it to the next stage too of following our body around and really bending. I'm going to pick up on the rein and I'm going to come a little bit to the outside of the saddle. Yeah. And really ask her to kind of wrap herself around my inside leg, my inside seat bone. Good. And then step the shoulders over to the right. So just playing with something that's a little bit more difficult. Get some energy. Pick up on the left rein. Sit to the right here. Yeah, good. And just have the feeling that she comes under my weight. So she comes out to find me. Yeah. Here. And remember to pick up the hind feet. Good. Yeah. And just little bits there. So I'm going to pick up on the left rein to the left shoulder here. I'm going to sit to the outside. Lead the right shoulder with my right rein. Sit to the right. And when she starts to pay attention here, good. Then she comes, yeah, good there. She really steps over and starts to come and find me. Good girl. So just helping her again to come to a little bit more of an understanding of following our body and just really being aware. So even if we're riding around, good. We don't have to just kind of ride around on the same circle at the same speed, everything is the same. And she starts to kind of daydream. Just kind of keep changing, making little changes that keep her interested, keep her aware. Right hind, good. Yeah, good. That's it. Good girl. Good. Left hind, walk out and go forward. Right hind, come on, right hind. Yeah, good. And forward again. Good. And stay forward. Yeah, good. Good girl. Oops. And we can also play with, so instead of going now on the same ideas where she was bending and slowing and now starting to learn to bend and stay forward and relax, she's also had the understanding that it's go forward or stop, go forward or stop. So if we can, now that she starts to read our energy a little more and respond a little bit more to the body cues, then we can start to ask her to come a little more forward and back without stopping. So maybe I want to try taking the trot a little forward and bring it back. Yeah. So it's not right to a walk, it's forward and it's slower. And that'll take some time, good for you. And forward and slower. Good. And just giving her that idea now that she can go forward and she can also come back without stopping their feet. So that's, you know, introducing like the half halts and stuff like that, where it doesn't always mean just come to a stop. Good girl. Good girl, good. Ooh. Good girl. And so a while ago on the ground, you know, this was a pretty big deal for her in the beginning, and it usually is. It's the movement and the sound, you know, stuff like that. So we've just been kind of playing a little bit from time to time, kind of exposing her to a few different things, giving her the chance to just sort of stand here and I can stand here on a loose rein and just let her have the feeling that she's not being made to stay here, she's not being controlled. You know, it's kind of more on her. Just have to be careful you don't smack her with it, because then she might have a different opinion. Good girl. Good girl, good. Hey, good girl. Too many layers of clothes on to get up here too gracefully. Yeah, good girl. Good. Good. Good for you. Good. Yeah, good. Good girl. Good. Good. Yeah, good. Good for you. Good girl. Good. Yeah, good for you. Yeah, good. Good girl. Yeah, good. Good. And again, the more that she backs up, you know, from the light pressure from the neck rope, as we start to introduce backing up from the reins, we don't get typically that, what you see a lot is horses that get really crammed up in the neck and they're being pulled backwards more than they're stepping backwards by themselves. So just to give her that feeling of what it means to actually back up without all that tension and resistance. It's also a very good reset for them. You know, physically it has a lot of benefits to helping loosen them up and supple their back and make them stronger. But mentally it's a really nice reset if they start to get a little worried and they have to actually kind of think about moving their feet, because it's a different movement than going forward. She likes to stop here because the gait is here. But when they have to kind of think about stepping back, it just takes them from, you know, if they're a little worried about something or bothered about something, it just gives them a little reset where they kind of have to think about their foot placement and how their body is actually moving. So it's very good exercise that way as well. Good girl, good. Yep, good. No. Yes, good. Good girl. Good. Good for you. And so for that, we usually just finish up down at this end so that she doesn't always, just get in the habit of stopping at the gate down there. She's always drawn to it anyway, they always are, but if we can make this the happy place where she gets to finish up. Good girl. And yeah, so that's about where we're at for the riding part. Some days we spend a little more time working on, you know, the trot stuff or the walk or whatever, but just kind of wanted to touch a little bit on everything that she's working on at the moment, and try to, again, expose her to a few new things, kind of help her with her confidence and develop that way, so that as she develops physically, she also has the mental part of it as well. So like I said, she has moments where she does have some insecurities and some anxiousness to her, and the more that we can show her and give her the feeling that she's capable and confident enough to approach some of these things and think these situations through and handle herself, you know, that just makes her better and better and more, you know, less likely to have moments where she gets a little bit too anxious and too worked up, where it's a little harder to talk her down. So if we can expose her a little bit and kind of push the limits little bit by little bit here, introduce her to things that are manageable and set her up to be successful in those moments, then there you go. Then she has some of the tools that she can continue to work with later on. So anyway, hope that helps, and we'll see you again when we do the next one.